So, in keeping with our transportation theme, Sound Transit, they are actually having a good month. I'll give them credit where credit is due. It's in large part because it's World Cup and we've got summer tourists that are visiting Seattle. So on June 19th, that was the day that USA Soccer played Australia. That was an exciting match to be sure. Sound Transit and King County Metro carried over a half million passengers on that day alone on their trains, buses, and their boats. Because, of course, you got the King County water taxi, which was hugely popular this time of year, even without World Cup travelers in town. But when the crowds are gone and people, it's just regular commuters driving or riding, I should say, the buses and the trains, what's ridership really look like? Now, again, to Sound Transit's credit, when Linwood Link opened last year, a lot of people started riding that because there's a ton of people that live in Snohomish County that work in, Seattle and Seattle, greater Seattle area. And so getting on that train instead of slogging through what is sometimes a 2-hour commute from Linwood into Seattle, that makes sense for people. Saving money, saving wear and tear on their car. I get that. And that makes total sense to me. And that link is actually proving to be fairly successful. But other links, like the most recent link extension, which is in the community where I live in Federal Way, doesn't look like there's a heck of a lot of people riding that train as yet. Maybe it'll catch on. At this point, it hasn't really caught on. So here is Washington Policy Center's Transportation Center Director Charles Prestrud kind of talking about whether or not you ride the train, you're paying for it.
The average household in the Sound Transit Tasking District pays about $1,700 per year in taxes to Sound Transit. On top of that, people who live in King County also paying taxes to Metro. That's maybe another $750 a year, maybe a little more. If you live in the city of Seattle, you're paying additional taxes on top of that to subsidize transit that goes through the city of Seattle and that they pay to the transit agencies. So we're paying a very high price, and transit is very heavily subsidized in the Puget Sound region, much more so than almost anywhere else in the country. But what hasn't gotten much attention is if you look at the Puget Sound Regional Council's new 2050 plan, which is usually based on very optimistic forecasts, it shows that in the year 2050, transit will have a mode share of 4.7%, which means that more than 95% of the trips will not be on transit.
And while more people are certainly using Link, the future of the system is not looking bright. You may recall some of my colleagues have written about this extensively on our Center Square Washington page. It was back in May. Sound Transit came forward and said we have a projected 34 billion, yes, that's with a B, $1 billion deficit. And so they are voting to defer some of their Sound Transit 3 promised projects, including the Ballard Link extension between Seattle Center and Ballard. Is it just going to be scaled back, postponed, perhaps canceled entirely? Some of the other projects are already years delayed. When Federal Way finally opened in December, just this last December of 2026, I think it was 2.5 years behind. Some of that was blamed on COVID. Some of it was blamed on the concrete workers union strike. So there's other factors that go into those delays. But 34 billion in the hole, and taxpayers, as you heard Charles from WPC say, we are paying a heck of a lot for it. In fact, I heard another stat I want to share with you from Washington Policy Center's Paul Guppy over the weekend in one of his podcasts that I was watching. He said that for everything we've paid into Sound Transit and will continue, we're obligated to pay many years, decades out, right, for all of these projects. You could give every person, man, woman, child in the state of Washington an $18,000 check. I found that to be a pretty remarkable statistic. I mean, for crying out loud, for that price, you could go buy yourself a new used car and not be reliant on the transit system. But anyway, that's a topic for another day.